Alright guys, I just got home from work and you can see my new attire. Got out of them FR clothes. It's been one heck of a day today. We're doing surveys and line patrols on some of the pipeline, and I got buried up in the side-by-side. I mean, we probably worked at it for 30 minutes. I was covered from head to toe in mud. When I come home, Andrea just shook her head and says, "What in the world you been up to?" Anyway, that's not part of this. Totally exhausted, but farm work, it never ends. And when I get off work, time to come home and work. What we're doing, we're gonna set Lane up with the little tractor and this box blade, because the water line that we installed, the ditch line is sinking in and it needs some more dirt put in it. So he's gonna drag the dirt up and down, trying to fill it in, because we're fixing to put the cows back on that side. And last time we wired off where they couldn't get to that water line. I'm afraid they'd step in it and somebody break a leg or something, and we just can't have that. So he's going to try to do this. I'm going to set the hay mower up. It is busy season here. We got hay to mow, hay to bale. We got the garden to hoe and weed, and I need to get dirt put up on the potatoes. And then next weekend we're going camping with our church, so we got to try to get everything taken care of before camping. Just a lot to do. So we're gonna get busy, get him hooked up here and get him started, and then I'm gonna go and hook the mower up. Here we go. For all y'all that don't know but have equipment, some tractors come with it's a extender pin. You can pull this up, slide that out so you don't have to back up to it just perfect. Watch your toe. And then once you get it picked up, you can back up and it'll clip back inside there.
What are you doing?
Do what?
What are you doing?
Getting the parts out of the bed of the truck.
What kind of parts?
John Deere. And I want to say that Andrea broke it. No, it broke because of my, I don't know, do you say laziness or?
I think it's more like busyness.
I'm just glad I wasn't driving it.
Say that again?
I'm just glad I wasn't driving it.
That's what I was thinking.
All right, guys, we are just keeping it real. I'm gonna just tell y'all what went on this morning. First off, we're under high pressure here in Arkansas. So we're in the first dry spell we have had of the summer. We've got lots of hay ready to be cut and raked and baled. Total, we have probably, what would you say, Ben, about 100 acres to cut by the time it's said and done. We got 80 acres back behind the house and some across the road. Would you say about 100?
Yeah.
So roughly 100 acres we need to cut, rake, and bale. That's gonna take some time. Ben has a full-time job, y'all know that. So Lane and I were going to take the disc mower and mow all day today. This is Thursday. I don't know exactly when y'all see this, but just to give you some perspective, we were gonna cut all day, like daylight till dark almost, Thursday and Friday. And even if I had to keep cutting Saturday, I was going to. And then we were going to start baling and hopefully bale all of it before Ben has to go back to work after the Memorial Day weekend. So we stayed up late last night getting all the hay equipment ready, greased, everything ready, oil changed and everything ready to go. And this morning I told Lane, I said, I want to be the first one to do it, because driving back there and getting it set up for the first time, this is the first time Lane or I, either one, have done anything like this on our own while Ben's at work. I said, if something goes wrong, I want it to happen to me and not you. I don't want you to break anything, because you know how boys can be sometimes. Sometimes they don't mean to, but things just fall apart in their hands. So I didn't want that to happen to him. I got down the highway and turned onto our farm road, and I'm partway up the farm road, and I hear, okay, well, first off, let me back up and tell you, this hay mower, it's a disc mower, so let me show you it. That's the end of it. So you can see the mower, it's pretty long, and then this part over here is what actually hooks onto the tractor, and then when you're ready to drive down the road, this black part, it like lifts up, it's like an arm, and it'll stand straight up in the air, and it hooks in there, and so you drive with that sticking up behind your tractor. When you get to the field, you unlatch a lever and it lays back down. Well, this part right here also raises and lowers along with the arm. So I'm driving along this road, just bebopping along. I've been on the tractor like 5 minutes, and this part right here, because the arm is standing up at that point, goes ka-clunk, and I was like, oh no. And then the whole thing goes psh, and just falls. And this part, it was locked into the up position, so it didn't like open up and fall. It twisted off the tractor and fell. So it's in a bind. There's hydraulic fluid pouring everywhere off the ground, all over the ground. It lost all the hydraulic fluid out of the tractor. It was an utter disaster. I just sat there for a minute like, is this really happening? I guess we're done before we ever even started. And when you get weather like this time of year, to catch your first cutting of hay around here, it's pretty rare. So to lose a whole day, it's pretty bad. But we tried to just take it in stride. Maybe there's a reason it happened, kept me or Lane one from getting hurt, I don't know. Thankfully, we were able to call around and gather up some parts. We have some awesome neighbors that helped us out, or we would not be even have this remotely put back together, because this thing was in a mess. And this is an expensive piece of equipment that was gnarled and twisted up and laying on its side. It had dug the blades down into the gravel. It was an utter nightmare. So we had 3 different neighbors actually come over and help us out today while Ben was at work. If you're watching, y'all know who you are. Thank you so very much. So Ben's gonna keep putting this back together, and we gotta get to cutting. We can't cut all 100 acres right now. It's too wet in some places, but we've got spots they have to be done. We need to know how much hay it's gonna turn off. We've never done this much hay before, so we're gonna learn as we go.
Why I said laziness, or Andrea calls it busyness. Back during the winter, we was using the hay unroller, and she was driving. Was you driving or was I?
I was.
You was driving. She was going up the driveway, and the pin that was in here come out somehow. So when, as she was driving up the driveway, that thing slipped off like that, and the hay unroller hit the ground. So I just put what I call like a hitch pin or a snap ring pin right here like this into that, and actually forgot about it.
We went on and put the hay out the rest of the winter and never thought another thing about it.
So what it did is that metal is too weak, and as this thing shifted, it popped that off and broke it. Then this come off, that shaft slid out the other side, and the hay mower flipped over on its side. So
and twisted.
It was in a mess.
And I jumped off, and there's gallons upon gallons of hydraulic fluid pouring out that hole.
So when we lost it the last time, I don't know where this piece went. I never seen it. Or it might have worked better. So John Deere had to go to the store and get this.
We've been to 3 different towns today gathering parts.
Oh, it's something, it's an easy fix, but it was pretty difficult getting everything unhooked out of a mess, and so we can put these parts back on. So I'm gonna be busy putting these parts on here. Also in that, when it twisted, it snapped that. That's the other side like this. It goes on the disc mower, so it snapped that off. And the only thing that I could find, I found a salvaged one.
Thankfully.
Thankfully.
Or else we still wouldn't have the parts to fix this.
What do you want me to do with it?
So we had to get a neighbor to come lift this thing up with his tractor because it was locked into position and turned on its side. This part is supposed to look like that with the words going across just like you can read them. It was gnarled and twisted and like sticking up in the air like that. So it was a mess, and it had a lot of parts that had pressure behind them in a bind, so it could have got dangerous, but thankfully it worked out. We getting somewhere?
Do what?
We getting somewhere?
Yeah, we're making progress. Slowly but surely.
This is just what you wanted to do after work, huh?
Oh yes.
Lane, what do you think?
It's hot out here.
It's fun though, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
You're learning stuff.
Learn how to pour a 5-gallon bucket of hydraulic oil without splashing it everywhere. If you don't know how to properly do that, you turn the bucket where the pour spout's on the top when you first start pouring a fresh bucket. That's my free advice for today.
Lane said, I want to be just like my dad.
Is he sitting there shaking his head no?
No, he's just laughing.
Alrighty, well, we're back in business. He's heading off to cut. We're going to be taking turns for the next few days. So, at least we're started. Okay. It is day 2 of this epic hay task we're trying to do. We showed you yesterday the breakdown with the mower. We actually did get going last night, and Ben and I took turns and we mowed for about 3 hours, and we got about 13 acres down. That was really good time getting the hay down, and we felt pretty good about it. Ben mowed actually till after dark with lights. Huh?
It was 9:30 when I come home.
9:30. A little dangerous, but we're on our own land, so. Anyway, got up this morning, took off. He was mowing hay by 8:30. I mean, we were on the way to the hayfield before that. Got down almost 10 acres and then switched to another field. That was our last field on this go around, and we would have it all cut for this round. It wouldn't be all of our fields for the first cutting, but it would be probably about 2/3 of them. So we mowed for 2 hours in that big field. It's 26 acres, and I looked up and it wasn't mowing, and it was leaving little strips unmowed. You're constantly looking around when you're mowing or doing anything on equipment like that, looking at gauges, looking at your levers and all that, just looking around. I noticed it wasn't mowing a strip coming out of the middle of the mower, and so I wound up killing the tractor because I knew something wasn't right. That was a big mistake because with the air and everything running on it, the battery wasn't strong enough to start it back. Ben was in town getting diesel, so I sat there for a while. Felt like I was just burning time, but I didn't have a choice, and I thought all I was waiting on was him to come jump the tractor and I'd be back in business. Wrong. The mower's broke. So we're back at the house, broke down for the second time. If we get this done, which the fields that are ready right now, we're 2/3 done for this first cutting, and then we'll do the other third later when it's ready, and then we got to do it all again in a couple months, and that is all we plan to do. The third cutting around here, a lot of people do. If you get enough rain, we're planning to stockpile that for rotational grazing for the beginning of winter. So we're just trying to get through this because we can't pay for hay this year. We can't pay someone to bale it. We need all of what we can produce, and we need to recoup our money from the cows we bought. So hard work it is, that we don't have a choice. But let me show you the mower.
So this is the sad state of the bar underneath the disc mower. But on the bright side, it pays to have handy men in your life, or women. In my case, it's men, that can fix anything. I promise you, y'all, Ben can fix anything.
I don't say that yet.
Oh yes, you
We're
can.
not back together yet.
Came home, took parts off, went to town, got replacement parts.
And they proud of them.
But sometimes you have to know how to fix things yourself on the farm, because sometimes we've learned with boats and tractors and all kinds of stuff, sometimes there's just no one to call. You gotta fix it or it's gonna stay broke.
You can try that in a second.
And Lane is turning out to be just about as handy as his dad. Their only problems come when they both want to be in charge.
I think we know who winds up in charge.
Yeah, well, that's how it's supposed to be.
We are gonna have to part ways because we got to get back to work. We are just trying to persevere through this time of trying to get this hay done. We've never done hay on this scale before. So we are just gonna try to push through and go with the flow, which is hard for me because I'm a planner, I'm a list maker, and I like to get in there and get it done and have it done. So, but can't work with broke equipment. So we are gonna part ways. Probably the next episode you see will be whether or not we get all this done or not, because we're in a time crunch before more rain comes. That's our big push. We'll see you guys later. If you think about it, say a prayer for us, and especially for Ben and Melissa and baby Ben, and we will see you guys later. Love you, take care, God bless, subscribe if you haven't, hit the notification bell. See you later.